Welcome to another episode of Step of the Flatbush Don TV, where we don't glorify violence, we learn from it. The fool is one who keeps making the same mistakes over and over, while the wise man learns from other people's mistakes. So I want you to ask yourself today, are you wise or are you a fool? Today, I want to bring your attention to two individuals that somebody requested that I cover. That's why I coined it Kirk Bruce versus WP, Wayne Perry. But before we get to that, like, share, subscribe, click on that notification button. That way, every time I drop a video, you will be notified. When you like the video, you encourage the algorithms to give a better circulation to the content. So that's your position. If you like the content on the channel, do your part and click that like button. As you come on to the channel, click so you won't forget when the video is done. How you doing today? All right, salute. I want to make a special announcement to the Haitian population. I want to do an apology because I'm not too big to apologize. The things that I did in my past as a youth, sometimes I think back and I regret certain things. And when I regret certain things, as far as harming my brothers, I look back with regret. So when I can apologize, I apologize for those who have harmed in the past. Okay. What we're doing today is, like I said, we don't glorify violence. We learn from it. Now, these two individuals have a lot in common. Though they grew up in different areas, in different parts of the world, the things that shaped them, which is environment. Now, Kirk Bruce was a member of Shower Posse. He was an enforcer for Jim Brown, the leader of Shower at the time. Wayne Perry was an enforcer for a drug dealer in D.C. named Alpo. Kirk Bruce was moving around. He wasn't stationary. He was passing through Miami, Philly, Canada, New York, different places. Wherever they had a Jamaican population or a Caribbean population, Shower would pass through. Wherever money was being made, they tried to establish a stronghold, or if they couldn't establish a stronghold, they would extort those who was making money. Now, you got a lot of people that say this and that, But at the height of their power, and they're still around today, they shook the streets. They had the streets in many communities locked down and in fear. Fear, a lot of hustlers, a lot of dealers is in fear of their lives. The same thing with Wayne Perry in D.C. A lot of drug dealers was being extorted, being robbed, being kidnapped, and what have you. Wayne Perry, WP, had the streets in D.C. under siege, under fear. Why? Because these two individuals understood the power of violence. These two individuals were ruthless killers who they started off as human beings. They started off as regular people, but the streets called them at an early age, and the streets love no one. So now, being in the streets, you're being forged into a lifestyle that has no love for anyone. A lifestyle, or a death style as you wish, that's cold-blooded. A death style that does not value life, only money, power, is the only thing, and respect. Money, power, and respect. These are the three motivators that motivate people and attract people to the street life. Kirk was an enforcer who made his way up the ranks, being a cold-blooded and vicious killer. WP, the same way, made it up the ranks in the streets as a cold-blooded and vicious killer. The more people you kill, the less humanity you have inside yourself. Not only do you kill those victims or your targets or your enemies, but in the same time you're pulling that trigger, you're pulling the trigger on your humanity, which you lose with everybody that you catch. Now, people might think that these killers take lives and they don't worry about it, but they have nightmares. They wake up with cold sweats. They're always wondering at the back of their mind, when is it going to be my turn? So everybody might think that they moving with that bravado, that they don't care and they don't fear nothing and this and that, but that's fantasy. That's not reality. Everybody have fear to a certain degree. Everybody fears someone or something. A person without fear is a dead person. So now back to WP. and the murder game. If they call this brother the Michael Jordan of the murder game, then I wonder what they call Kirk Bruce. A man that they gave, the judge said in court that he wished he could give this man more life sentences to ensure that he never walked the streets again. Now he was sentenced to the gas chamber. That's how lethal this brother was. He was sentenced to the gas chamber, but the sentence got commuted to 4 life terms and 130 years. 4 life terms. What do they think? He gonna die and come back again and finish that and die and come back again or whatever? And plus 130 years on top of that. Losing humanity makes you a monster in the eyes of the law and in the eyes of society. When you become a monster, they see you as a threat to human life. So where do they put you? They put you in a cage. Now, I had a comment. Somebody asked, who was the most vicious? Who was the most violent? Who was the most deadly? Between WP and Kirk Bruce. WP was sentenced to life in prison. Kirk Bruce, up to the last article I read, was still getting sentences on cases, still catching life sentences for murders from years back that witnesses or whatever finally start talking and what have you. So now you're talking about 2 individuals that done did a whole lot of chaos, got more bodies than the Chinese graveyard. I know a lot of people seen Shotters with Kamani Marley and Sprague Benz. The best way I could describe Kirk Bruce is the character Mad Max. Kirk Bruce was one of those individuals when there was a mission to go on, he always wanted in. Like anything else, when you start doing things, it gets easier and easier. Taking life, mayhem, chaos, it gets easier and easier. So he always wanted in. He always wanted to bust that gun. He always wanted to take a life if necessary. Money was more important to him. His whole reason for living was based on reputation, upholding his rep, and that body count. Because they equated that body count with respect. The more bodies you lay down, or the fresher things, the fresher movements you go on, and the more bodies you lay down, the more respect that you get amongst your peers. Now, how perverted is that? But that was the world that they was living in. That was the norm. Now, there's no documented proof, but words on the street was that Kirk Bruce had admitted to killing over 100 people. Word on the street was that he said, part of his defense was, he said God told him to clean up DC. Now, a lot of people want to compare Kirk Bruce to WP Silk, but I see them as two different individuals. Yes, there was two murderers, two monsters, two killers. Yes, they had done a lot of carnage in the community. Sure enough. Murder is murder. But when it comes to volume, you have to make that decision for yourself. Like I said, I don't glorify violence. We try to learn, we try to teach the youth not to walk that path, because if you do, you'll be in jail for life or dead, which is basically the same thing. Life imprisonment is hell, especially when you're in ADX. No contact, no physical contact, a whole lot of different restrictions. You're being treated like an animal because you behave like an animal in society. So they take away your privileges as a human, and they deal with you as an animal. Yes, Wayne Perry reformed in jail. The brother changed his mind, became Muslim, changed his name, and is supposed to be doing serious work as far as mentoring the youths or whatever. So we're never too old or it's never too late to change our mentality and become better human beings. We find back that humanity. Taking lives is not where it's at. Really and truly, you become a traitor to your peoples when you take out people that look like you and me, people that's living in the same community you do. Take heed. Don't glorify these brothers. Learn from them. Don't try to be another WP or another Kirk Bruce. Learn from their mistakes, or I guarantee you, you will end up just like they did. It's your brother, Stepper, your host, Stepper the Flatbush Don TV. Like, share, and subscribe. Peace.